today's topic is foundation. And so what do I mean by foundation? So I was reflecting on this earlier today, and the reason why I want to talk about foundation is because in one of my earlier videos I talked about setting our goals, like setting our goals further than we want, like than we might be comfortable setting. And so how do we reach those goals? And the answer is having a good foundation. And so you can very much think about this like setting up a building. Like in order to have a building that is like X amount tall, like when you have taller skyscrapers, you have to have a stable foundation in order to reach a certain height. Otherwise, what you have is Jenga. Then like everything falls to the ground. So how does that, like, that's an analogy, and I'm sure it's an analogy that a lot of you have heard, but how exactly, like, so a lot of you might be thinking, well, how does that apply to my business, Ben? How does that apply to me? Well, here's how it applies to you. Let's say you are, like, this is you. And you are one person, and you're making, let's say you are making a 3-figure income. And that's actually pretty good. Good job on you. But the catch here is that this is just you. It's only, like, you are a solopreneur. This is only your business that we are talking about here. And so, let's grab the red marker here. Let's say we want to go to 4 figures. How do we do that? Well, right now it's just you. How do we get to this red zone over here? How do we get to the red marker? How do we break through this barrier that we have for ourselves? Well, what we're gonna need here is more people. And so, in order to have more people, what we're gonna need is a larger foundation. And so, you have this. A solopreneur has a certain system where they wake up, they know what they need to do every single day, and they get to that. But in order to break towards a larger number down here, all of a sudden we need more people, then that means the foundation is going to change. Whose responsibility is who is going to change. Also, think about, we got cords moving around here. Also think about this. Your comfort level is going to change. So there might be certain things that you, like the reason why you haven't delegated out these like certain responsibilities to people already is because I know a lot of entrepreneurs, like the reason why they haven't made that leap and is because of comfort. Maybe they're not comfortable delegating that out, but in order to free up your time, you need to do that. And so that is changing the foundation so that you can break to these larger numbers. Now, that's an example of having going from 3 to 4 figures. However, the same rules apply when it comes to breaking to 4 figures, when it comes to what color marker do we want to use? The same rule applies when it comes to, like, let's say we are at 4 figures. The same rule applies when it goes from breaking from 4 figures over to 7 figures. We're painting 7 figures here. We're just going to add a 1 there. Same rule applies when going from 4 figures to 7 figures, or even 6 figures to 7 figures. All of these have different foundations amongst themselves. A 6-figure business is run differently than a 7-figure business. Both of these have different foundations. Both of these have different rules put in place for them. And so a lot of times going from one level to another might require you to restructure yourself. It might require you that these are two completely different games that you are playing. And so therefore, it requires you to learn a completely different set of rules to them. And that is exactly what it comes down to when I talk about changing the foundation to it. And I personally have had to do this. A lot of you who might be out there, and I myself am in this camp, where like maybe you don't come from a family where you are in a big entrepreneur background. Maybe you don't come from a family that has a lot of money at all. That means that your foundation is all the way up here. And how many times have you heard, whether this be yourself or whether this be someone you know, where this person is always worried about the bills and always worried about the money. They have a poor mindset. Well, they're playing a different game. They are always worried about the bills, and so therefore they have a different set of rules. I spent the first half of this video talking about the rules that a 4-figure business and a 7-figure business needs to learn. Well, what happens if you start off life with being taught the fundamentals of a 0-person mindset, of a poor mindset? This is why poor people stay poor. And so all of a sudden, if you get taught those rules and you never learn those rules, then that is what you stay as. That is what you become. So going from here to here to here can a lot of times be the essence of just, I must learn to reprogram myself. I must learn to fill my cup with something else than what has been taught me. And that is sometimes the key to success. That is sometimes the key to, like, what do the people on these different levels know that I do not? And sometimes asking yourself that simple question can lead to you finding success. And so thank you guys so much for joining me for tonight's Late Show. And we will be back next week. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy.